Hi everyone, I have a little Valentine project I want to share with you today. This is a card that I've made for my husband. It's going to be part of his Valentine present this year, and it looks like a book. So I'm going to go through this and show you how I've decorated it, and then when I get done doing that, I'm going to show you actually how to make this and put it together. So here on the cover I have several layers of paper. The base of the cover is some craft cardstock, then I have some pink basil, some linen textured cardstock from the craft outlet, and also some craft paper from the craft outlet. And I've inked everything in this book with either vintage photo or walnut stain distress ink. I've used a Martha Stewart eyelet lace punch around the page set. And I've also pulled out my sewing machine and did some stitching. You can see a little bit on here. You'll see a lot more on the inside of the card. Up here are some epoxy stickers that were from the Making Memories Vintage Findings collection. Stuck those up there. Then I just printed out on my computer the letters OF for of and cut them out and inked them. And then have a Tim Holtz Adage ticket down here for Book of Love. The sticker right here is 7 Gypsies. I wrote on it "Be Mine" and put my husband's name on there. And this was another sticker that came in the pack, a stamp. I just stuck it on top of the postcard. The flowers are from Michaels. They're some of the new Recollections collection flowers that they have out. I just thought the vintage colors were really pretty, and they pretty much inspired this album. For the leaves and the butterfly, I have used some digital stamps from Fred She Said Designs. That's a digital designer that I do some work for, and you can print the stamps out on your computer. You can size them whatever size you need, and then color them or paint them or spray them or whatever you want to do to use them. In this case, I printed them out in different sizes. I inked them with forest moss, crushed olive, and a little bit of tea dye distress ink, and then stuck those all in amongst the flowers for the greenery. The butterfly is another one of the digital stamps. I printed it out at the size I needed, cut it out, colored it with my Copic markers, and covered the entire butterfly with rock candy crackle paint. Right here we have a chipboard flourish that my friend Sylvia sent to me, and I covered it in Tattered Rose crackle paint and then put a little vintage photo distress ink on that. And you can just barely see it on the craft paper, but I used a background stamp just to add a little extra visual stuff on there so the craft paper wasn't quite so plain. But that's the cover of the album. And I have it tied together with some 7 Gypsies seam binding. That was just tucked under the covers on the front and the back to hold it closed. And on the inside, you can see my fake book pages make a little box. And I'll get to that page in just a minute. On this side, there's a tag pocket. I just layered some more papers on here, did some more machine stitching. And in this pocket is a tag. And I have used a Lily of the Valley rubber stamp, stamped on this tag and colored the image with my Copic markers. And this sentiment came with the stamps. And I have layered the tag with the same papers I used on the cover. And I have some journaling on the back with a Valentine message to my husband, and then just a little more of the seam binding. I put an eyelet through there and tied that through there, and that goes in the tag pocket. So now to the actual book pages. On the inside of the pocket, I had sewn also around the mat that I have on the bottom. I have missed one of my pages. This little belly band goes around the mini that I created. It's just craft paper with one of the flowers on it. And this is a little 3x5 mini that I made with 4 pieces of chipboard. I used a Stampin' Up! Ticket corner punch and when I put them all together, they unfold just like one of those rolls of tickets. And on the front, there's some more of the flowers and some more of the leaves that I made with the digital stamp. I printed this out on my computer, cut it apart and inked the edges and then glued it on there. And inside each page is a reason that I love my husband. And the way I've done it is I have cut out a pink circle with my Cricut and inked that. Underneath this is one of these. It's just a white piece of cardstock that I printed out one of the reasons that I love him. And then the journaling goes to explain the reason. And on each one of those, I left that one blank so you could see what it looks like, but I've placed a decal on top of each one of those sentiments, and this is a scratch off. So he can take a coin or his pocket knife or whatever and scrape all the gold off, and he will then be able to read the sentiment that's underneath it. So each page is done like that. Just made a little booklet with the reasons, and that's the little mini that goes in the pocket in this little card album. And that just slides on there to keep the book closed. It goes in the pocket. So that is the card slash book slash mini holder that I've made for my husband for Valentine's. So let me show you how this goes together. This idea is actually the idea of a Norwegian lady named Winch. I will give you her blog address. You can go and see her books, and if you read Norwegian, you can read her instructions. If you're like me and you don't, you have to rely on Google Translator, and their translator did not translate her instructions very well. So I kind of struggled a little bit with this and had to do some tweaking and figuring out some measurements on my own to figure out the size. But that's okay, because that means that you can do this to fit your needs. You can make a smaller box, you can make a smaller book. I believe her spine on her book was actually larger than mine, so actually her book box itself was probably smaller than the one I made. But you can you know, alter it to fit your needs. I've seen people put candy inside the book part. You could put a present in there, whatever. It just depends on what size you would need. You could, you know, tailor it to your needs. But what you need to start off with for the book that I made, I'm giving you my measurements, not hers. You need 2 pieces cut at 6 3/4 by 9, and 2 pieces that are cut at 5 1/4 by 9. On the album, I used some linen texture cardstock. This is watercolor paper, but you need something of that texture so that when you're scoring and burnishing, your edges aren't going to split and come apart. The watercolor paper stays really crisp on the edges. And that's a tip when you're scoring these. And by the way, it needs to be scored at every 3/4 of an inch. You need to try to get your scores as crisp as you can and as straight as you can, so that when you fold them up, this comes out being square and not, you know, I had to work with this a little bit. The watercolor paper was a little harder than the cardstock to get it squared up. But you don't, you know, want your top edge right here, and then this bottom one's, you know, way over here. You want them to be as lined up as possible. So be, you know, as careful as you can when you're burnishing your score lines. But you're going to have 2 pieces of each. And like I said, you score everything at 3/4 of an inch. I have 2 of them put together already. And I'm going to show you how these pieces go together. Excuse the rough edge. I've had to redo this video, so I had to rip it apart. But you're going to take another long edge to match this side. And to put these together, you're just going to follow the natural pattern of the folds. And make sure you look and see where your outside edge is. On this piece, the outside edge is on top of this piece. So you want to make sure this edge is on top. So you're just going to at an angle, bring the pieces together, and you'll see they just naturally go into the folds together. So you're going to just slowly squeeze them together. You'll have them like that. Then you're going to straighten it up and just tuck them tight to where they're butted up against each other, as tight as you can get them. Then you're going to get your glue. You can use something sturdy, some tacky tape, or I'm using this Scotch adhesive. It's real good for holding. But you're going to glue your corners, and that's all you're going to glue. This front corner, glue everywhere, and then your back piece. And that's the only two places that you're going to glue. And you can see here, like I said, I had a little trouble with mine. It didn't get as straight as I would have liked that piece. See, it's a little off to the side. So you do as best you can. It's not going to make that big a difference. That's going to be the bottom anyway, but still, to get it as uniform as you can, it'll help with keeping it square and making it look nice. So that's 3 sides. You're going to repeat that with this other piece, looking to see where your pieces are on this. It's on the inside. So you just let them fall in line. It's a little bit harder to do it when you're doing it from the middle here. Then you'll have your second piece to glue in, and you do the same on this side. And you'll have your box when you put it together. Then for your cover piece, you're going to have a 12 by 7 1/4 piece that's scored at 5 1/2 and 6 1/2. And when this box is completely put together, the inside edge will butt up against that 6 1/4 inch score line. This will not be bound to anything. It just folds up to the edge. I'll show it on the finished one. You can probably see it better. See, it's not connected. It just butts up against it. So you just need to make sure that your edge of your box is butted up against that 6 1/2 inch score line. But that is the basis, for your box. You can put your mats on your cover pages and fix it however you want to. But it's really simple to put together. It's not hard at all. And I hope you give it a try. I also wanted to tell you that on my blog I'm having a little blog candy giveaway. Most of the stuff on my blog is my cards. I do post my minis and things on there, but the majority of what I have on there is my cards. And if you're interested and you'd like to go look, I'm having that blog candy giveaway for my followers. And you can go check that out if you're interested. And I guess I'll see you again with my next project. Thanks for watching. Bye.